Pokémon is one of the biggest franchises in the world. Pikachu and its friends can be found in video games, manga, animated series, movies, trading cards, and more. However, the creation of the original games was not as easy as most gamers might imagine. In fact, the project was almost abandoned due to many difficulties. So how did the most beloved pocket monsters come to life? Let's find out! Back in the early 80s, a young gamer and bug collector called Satoshi Tajiri, along with his friend Ken Sugimori, published a fanzine called Game Freak. The purpose of this was to help out other gamers by providing tips on how to win games and find Easter eggs. Game Freak became more and more popular and many other fans were willing to contribute. Soon enough, Tajiri and Sugimori realized that most games were lacking in quality. Eventually, they decided to start making their own games. Tajiri started the Family Basic game programming package to better grasp the concepts of Famicom game design. The two friends evolved the magazine into the video game development company Game Freak in 1989. Tajiri first conceived the idea of Pokémon in 1990 after he saw the ability of two Game Boy devices to connect to each other using the link cable. He envisioned bags scrolling back and forth between the two devices, recalling his childhood love for bag collecting. Therefore, a handheld device like the Game Boy would be the ideal candidate for a game like the one he wanted to create. Tajiri pioneered the idea of connectivity between handheld game consoles by suggesting that Game Boys could use their link cables in order to have friends do more than simply play against each other. The concept was to allow players to trade their Pokémon by connecting the two devices. When he first pitched the idea of Pokémon to Nintendo, they could not quite grasp the concept, but were impressed enough with Tajiri's game design reputation that they decided to explore it. Shigeru Miyamoto became to mentor Tajiri, guiding him during the creation process. While development started as early as 1990, it soon became obvious that the whole project was way too complex and ambitious. Game Freak did not have the resources to materialize the game that Tajiri had in mind. Without enough revenue, Game Freak was unable to pay its employees. 5 employees quit, and Tajiri did not receive any salary, instead living off of his father's income. Ultimately, Game Freak put Pokémon on hold and focused on other games that could turn a quick profit. Eventually, the company managed to bounce back and become financially stable once again. Moreover, an investment from a company called Creatures allowed Game Freak to complete the games, and in return, Creatures received 1/3 of the franchise rights. The development continued, and in February 27, 1996, the first versions of Pokémon were released. Pokémon Green and Red were first released in Japan. The story takes place in the fictional region of Kanto, where a young boy is about to start his journey to become the world's best Pokémon trainer. In order to do that, he has to catch wild Pokémon, train them, battle against other trainers and gym leaders, and acquire the badges that will allow him to take part in the final tournament. A simple yet effective idea, since many young kids rush to buy the game. In order to sell both versions, the developers came up with a clever idea. They included specific Pokémon in each version, so that everyone who wanted to catch them all would either have to buy both versions or trade with other players who had the Pokémon they were looking for. That proved to be a really effective plan, since players wanted to obtain all 151 Pokémon. Despite the clever concept and the revolutionary way of playing, the Pokémon games were far from flawless in terms of development. Many bugs were found in both versions, causing malfunctions and even crashing the game itself. Also, the Pokémon sprites in the original versions were not that appealing. Therefore, Game Freak started working on the third version of the Pokémon series. Pokémon Blue was released in Japan on October 15, 1996, and had many differences compared to its predecessors. A number of bugs were fixed, and the new Pokémon sprites were significantly improved. These improvements were also included in Pokémon Red and Blue that were released outside of Japan. Pokémon Green never managed to cross the Japanese borders though. Why? We might never know. However, in 2004, Nintendo published the Fire Red and Leaf Green versions as remakes of the first two Pokémon games. 2 years after the release of Pokémon Green, Red and Blue, Nintendo published the fourth installment of the series called Pokémon Yellow. This version featured several enhancements and changes compared to the previous releases. Pikachu is the only starter Pokémon in this version, and it has both a voice and a unique personality. It follows the player and it can be examined at any time. While it initially has an indifferent opinion of the player, it can grow to love or hate him based on the player's actions. Leveling up will keep Pikachu happy, while fainting will make it upset. Apart from these changes, Pokémon Yellow had slightly improved graphics and could print Pokédex entries onto stickers using the Game Boy printer. Although Pokémon Yellow was the last release of the core series for Generation 1, more games were about to follow. In 1999, Nintendo published Pokémon Stadium for Nintendo 64. Unlike its predecessors, Pokémon Stadium was not an RPG and did not have a storyline or a well-defined world. Instead, the game challenges the players to defeat the trainers at the stadium, a tournament consisting of 4 cups and 80 battles in total, as well as the Gym Leader Castle, where the player battles the 8 Kanto Gym Leaders, the Kanto Elite Four, and the Champion. When all cups have been won and the Gym Leader Castle is completed, a battle against Mewtwo will be unlocked. Defeating Mewtwo unlocks another round of Stadium, Gym Leader Castle, and Mewtwo battles, but with higher difficulty. Players could also organize, store, battle, and trade their own Pokémon from Pokémon Red, Blue, and Yellow by using the Transfer Pack accessory that was bundled with the game. Pokémon Stadium went on to become one of Nintendo 64 best-selling titles. Pokémon Stadium was not the only Generation 1 release for Nintendo 64. In 1998, Nintendo released Hey You Pikachu. In this game, the player's goal is to help Professor Oak by using a voice device to communicate with a Pikachu. It is one of only 2 games that utilize Nintendo 64 voice recognition unit, a piece of hardware that can comprehend and analyze the human voice. It is also the only game to use this device that was released in the United States. The player can move around and pick up items in addition to speaking with Pikachu. In 1999, Nintendo also released Pokémon Snap for Nintendo 64. In this game, the players take the role of Todd Snap, a Pokémon photographer who is summoned by Professor Oak to Pokémon Island in order to take pictures of different Pokémon. The game proved to be a commercial success both in Japan and in the US, selling millions of copies. Generation 1 proved to be the most famous and well-remembered amongst the Pokémon generations. The 4 Game Boy releases sold over 55 million copies combined. Everyone got to meet Pikachu and the other Pocket Monsters, and many kids spent countless hours in front of their screens trying to become the next Pokémon champion. A subsequent anime adaptation boosted the franchise's popularity even more, and paved the way for the second generation that would soon follow. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around until the end of this video. If you liked it, you can hit the like button, check the other videos, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you all, and I'll see you in the next video.